Welcome to Mac Geek Gab, where we are going to express how happy we are because we truly live in a world of wonder where we can have multiple timers on our iPhones, at least starting in this fall, that and other announcements and our reactions to them from Apple's WWDC Keynote today. This evening, later today, because we already released an episode this morning, Monday, June 5th, 2023. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab episode 985. The show where normally you send in all your questions and your tips and your cool stuff found to feedback at macgeekgab.com. But today we are hot on the heels of watching Apple's keynote, watching Apple's State of the Union, and consuming a great deal of caffeine in the process, which you can probably already tell. And we've got lots to share with you, so we're going to share it here in Durham, New Hampshire. I'm Dave Hamilton.
Oh, look, I'm on screen. Hi, I'm Jeff Gamet, all the way from Boulder, Colorado.
And here in Lee, New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete. Oh, man, this is great. But, boy, was that a marathon session or what?
It was. So, yeah, normally, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you. It's always a treat to get to hang out with you and Pilot Pete.
Yeah, welcome. I should say welcome back to the show. This is certainly not your first appearance here. I believe this is at least your third, if not fourth, appearance here on Mac Geek Gab.
But who's counting?
Certainly not me. I have not been counting.
Yeah, same. I'm just doing it in my head. You mentioned that you were on video, and you are. I will remind all of us that our audience is mostly on audio, so we just need to make sure that we do our level best to explain any of the things that we might be showing. That said, we have in the past, and today we'll also give ourselves permission with these keynote reaction episodes to make them more video heavy than our normal episodes might be. And so, but you can always watch the video at macgeekgab.com or mgg.fm/985. We'll get you right to this episode, and the video will be right there. You can find it on YouTube or any of that stuff. So, we are also not here to recap the entirety of the keynote. You can go watch it. There are lots of written recaps. If we were to recap everything and react, we'd be here for 5 hours. And, well, you folks already know how long this is because you get to see how long it is. We don't yet know, but we're hoping to keep it at about an hour. Let's see how we do. New Macs were announced today. I'm excited.
I bought a new Mac last week.
I know. Thank you, Pete. I'm excited about the MacBook Air, the 15-inch Air. I need to go touch one to decide if I want it to be the thing that replaces a 13-inch M1 Air that I have, but I am excited about that. Did any thoughts from you there on that one, Jeff?
You know, when they announced it, I was like, oh, here's the computer that I was waiting for but didn't buy because I bought a 14-inch M2 MacBook Pro. So I needed to migrate from my 16-inch Intel.
Okay.
And so I wanted to get an M2.
Yeah.
And I almost got a MacBook Air and then decided, as long as I'm spending the money, let's spend a little bit more and get all the stuff that comes with the Pro model. I'll go with the 14-inch, so it's a little bit smaller. I love my choice.
Okay.
But if I was making that choice today, it would be much more difficult to choose between that 14-inch MacBook Pro and this new 15-inch MacBook Air.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. 14-inch MacBook Pro. Which chip did you get in your 14-inch MacBook Pro, Jeff?
Oh crap, what were our options? The Pro and the Max?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yep.
Oh my God, I have to go look. I don't actually remember. All I know is I spent a lot of money. MacBook Pro, 14-inch.
So I
have the Pro, the M2
okay,
Pro.
Great. So I am looking at the the specs on the Apple creates a beautiful sort of highlight screen of this, but I'm also looking at the comparison of the specs between the M2 15-inch MacBook Air, which they announced today, as well as the M2 13-inch MacBook Air that was available, say, yesterday. And in terms of like horsepower, and by the way, your MacBook Pro beats these.
Yes.
Right. So, but in terms of horsepower, it's got the same 8-core M2. It's got the same 10-core, graphics, the GPU chip. It's got the same 24 gigs of unified memory, up to 24 gigs of unified memory, same storage capability, same 18 hours. It's really, like, in terms of the guts of it, it is the same thing, except it has this 15.3-inch screen as opposed to a 13.6, which gives you 2880 by 1864 pixels, so a little bit more. It is almost exactly the same thickness as the 13-inch Air, but of course it's about an inch, maybe an inch and a half wider, and maybe an inch sort of taller. I mean, I don't know what Apple says. Apple says the depth is the from the bottom of the keyboard to the top of the keyboard, like from the bottom of the trackpad to the top of the keyboard. That's what they call depth. That's 9.35. I don't know what we would call that. Like, that's a weird measurement to use it, but it's a weird word to say. But
well, it's a clever way to make your computer sound smaller since you're not going from edge to edge on the case.
No, you are going from edge to edge. That's what I'm saying. The word depth, I'm just trying to use it to describe, because like the width of it, like depth, I guess, because there's length and width. I don't know why you call that depth, but anyway, that's the word they use. But that measurement across when you are sitting at it is 9.35 inches versus 8.46. So it's, an inch deeper and an inch and a half wider. So it's substantially larger form factor than its 13-inch brother, which obviously
that makes sense.
You need
space for the screen.
You need space for the screen. That does allow them to fit 2 more speakers in. It's got 6 instead of 4, which I suppose is more is better.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it is basically the same. That's it. It's the
Well, the cool thing, it's 3 pounds, so that's nice.
It's a half pound more than the other one.
Yeah,
so,
but it's definitely lighter than the Pros. Carrying one of those around.
Yeah,
that is what it is. The 6 speakers is great, and I'm glad to see that they've stuck with the MagSafe. I was so disappointed that they'd gone away from that, and I think MagSafe is a brilliant anti-damage.
Yes. Do you use MagSafe on your new one, Pete?
For the first time today, I have. For those that don't know, you can plug a USB-C into your MacBook Pro C port, and it will charge the battery.
Right.
I started using the MagSafe today just because the only damage I have on my 13-inch MacBook Pro that's a year and a half old is a nick from when I managed to pull it off the table.
Nice. Oh,
from the USB cable attached to it. So,
all right. So there's the 15-inch Air. We also got the Mac Studio, which now has.
Before you go, I got one other reason I love the new Air.
Great.
Because Debbie is on the market for a new MacBook, and that brings the current ones down by $100 a piece.
It does.
So,
and refurb's down even more than that, I would think.
Yeah. So there are some nice machines out there that are really smoking at really good prices now compared to what they were yesterday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. No, this opens up a nice spot in the product line. There's also, as I said, the Mac Studio now has M2 Max and Ultra, and finally, the transition to Apple Silicon, I will say, is nearly complete. Apple said it's complete, and I don't like that because it means we aren't getting a large screen Apple Silicon iMac.
That's right.
Well,
But
Dave, we all have to learn to cope with disappointment at some point in our
yes,
life.
we do. Oh, I've run Ventura on this computer. Of course, I've learned to
He
cope
knows
with disappointment.
From the very core.
But the
Audio.
the Apple Silicon Mac Pro is or the Mac Pro is now Apple Silicon. If you want it to be, and it starts at about $7,000, just $1 shy of $7,000, but no one's going to buy that one. So I saw somebody on Twitter spec'd it out fully all the way up to about $50K. So,
Oh my goodness, really?
You know,
Yeah.
considering the market that this computer is aimed at,
Oh.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't something that we buy to use at home.
no, it's not. And the Mac Studio solves the problem, at least in the product line, of offering the prosumer Mac, if you will, for the home or the home office, whereas this is the heavy-duty Mac. There will still be some people that choose to buy it who don't need it, obviously. But yeah. Any thoughts? So all of the new Macs are on the table for discussion here. What do we have to add before we move on to the new operating
I've
system
got
that we
an
get for the
initial
Macs?
impression on it.
Yeah.
And that was that, they upgraded the Pro. I kind of expected that they would sideline the Pro for good, discontinue it. And so the Pro almost seems superfluous, considering you can get a low-end studio for a pretty good price to what, I don't know.
Yeah, I think your point, Jeff, is that the Pro is for actual pros in, design production studios and not many other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Apple showed off the new Mac Studio, and they're showing off the processor and all of that, I wondered, has Apple tricked us and the Mac Pro has been in front of us all along? And what I was wondering is if they were going to say, so here's the Mac Studio. Now here's how it becomes a Mac Pro. And then they show this add-on thing that becomes like a click-on module that gives you all the other expansion. And then you have a Mac Pro. And because the horsepower you have in the Mac Studio, it's a pro machine as far as functionality goes.
Yes.
Just there's some other things that pro users need that go beyond the limited hardware, expansion that you get with the Studio.
Yeah.
And so they wrapped that up, and I'm like, okay, so I was wrong. That's okay, but it was a fun idea. And then they start talking about the Mac Pro, and they're showing what they're doing with it. I'm like, I wasn't exactly completely wrong, because basically that one box that's up in the corner is a Mac Studio without the Studio case on it. It's just that basically that same hardware, but then you have all this other expansion stuff that goes with it that really makes it a Pro.
Yeah. I like that idea. Obviously, they went a different route, but I like it.
They went the correct route.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. All right. And then so now we have macOS Sonoma, which,
Speaking of Dave's disappointments,
well, Apple's going to Apple. There are lots.
They're going to upgrade their operating system every year.
Yep. So we were hoping here on Mac Geek Gab, I was hoping here on Mac Geek Gab, Jeff, that Apple might go to an every other year cycle with macOS, and in this year maybe do a snow Ventura with bug fixes.
Sure, I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah, we all would. But we don't get that, but we do. I mentioned it in the intro. Apple talked about it during iPadOS, but digging into stuff, we get multiple timers on every platform, including macOS. So
Apple's all about innovation.
That they are. Yeah, we truly live in a world of wonder.
Connected to their watch.
That's right. Yep. We get widgets on the desktop, which I like, and we get some of those widgets, like notification widgets, that can come over via continuity from iOS. So that's going to be interesting, like more integration from that standpoint, which I like. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go.
I heard you.
I was gonna let you finish, but at the same time, I was like, no, I have something to say.
Yeah.
All right. So what you just mentioned, the widgets with the the ability to have notifications or whatever from another device.
Interactions.
Interactions. This hits on what to me is the core feature for all the new OSs that Apple is rolling out this year. And it's interactivity and collaboration. So that's collaboration between your devices and collaboration with other people.
Yes.
That to me, that's what these updates are.
Yeah, you're right. And a big one is the video conferencing add-ons that they added to macOS, which I want to stress, after having watched the Platform State of the Union, which is sort of the keynote for developers-ish, the video conferencing stuff is all API driven, meaning, and in their demos, they weren't showing it with FaceTime. They were showing it with Zoom. So all of this stuff, there's this presenter overlay. You can share multiple screens at once. You can share screens on your Mac with the little green bubble that you never click on your Mac. Well, now you can click that. And if you're in a video call, including a third-party video call, you can choose to share that window in your active video call. So it's no more of this, how do I find it in this jumble of things that whatever video app I'm using? It's like, no, this is the one I want to share, so let me just say to share it. So that kind of stuff, I like that a lot. I think that's great. And the fact that they're not trying to tell us that we have to use FaceTime for all of this, they're adding these features to the OS and making them accessible to third-party apps. I love that. Because it means it's great on the surface, but it also tells me that they are committed to the Mac. It's not just an afterthought.
Yes, and doing the focus on Zoom or highlighting Zoom instead of FaceTime, of course it's intentional because that's how Apple rolls. The message it sends isn't you have to stay in our ecosystem to use our features. It's we want to be a collaborative tool for everyone.
Yes.
And there you go.
And there you go. Yeah.
By the same token, by having all these devices talk to each other in the way they as seamlessly as they do, they're drawing everybody into as many people as they can into their ecosystem.
Absolutely.
That was brilliant.
And once you're in, you're not leaving, because it works so well.
It's a commitment once you're in.
Yeah.
But it's a commitment you're okay with because it all works.
Right.
Usually. Well,
when it does.
Better than other places.
Yes.
Generally.
So Safari on the Mac gets quite a few what I think are really important features. Number one is profiles. I see that being super valuable. I was just showing somebody something the other day where they were like, oh, I have to log into a different Gmail account. And I'm like, oh, are you in Chrome already? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we'll just add another profile. And it was like their mind had not ever considered that was a way of dealing with all that stuff, right? And now you get profiles in Safari and you get to use them the same way. You can have your home profile. So I think that's great. We now get web apps.
I wonder who he's talking about.
Actually, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about our.
You told me the same thing.
You're absolutely right.
It was about using StreamYard. I'm going. I keep. I do one show. I have to log out. I have to log back in. I have to hit the code. Oh, dude, just use profile. Duh.
Yep, I totally forgot about that because I was talking to our friend Brian yesterday about profiles, and it like blew his mind.
It's brilliant.
Web apps. I am someone who uses a few web apps currently. I use something called, I think I use Unite. There's two apps from BZG Apps. One's called Unite that makes web apps out of Safari. One's called Coherence, which makes them out of Chrome. Having web apps accessible is fantastic. For example, we have a Google Doc that is our Mac Geek Gab show notes that we edit live during the show. I don't want to have to find that in a browser tab. So years ago, I built a web app using Unite, and I am able to launch it. It sits in my dock. I can click on it. It comes up. It is a single app window, but it happens to be a website.
And now all you have to do is drop a tab into your dock, and
that's it. And you're done. Yeah. No, I know this does Sherlock the folks at BZG Apps, and I mean that's never great.
It creates an opportunity for them to do something that goes beyond what Apple is offering. This
my
is a
guess is
opportunity.
my guess is they already are doing things that go beyond what Apple's offering. And so it's probably going to remain. It's always been a tool for power users because it's too complicated. Complicated is the wrong word. It's too outside the box for most people to think, I want that. Let me go find an app that's going to give me that functionality, right? Whereas now, if it's inside the box and it's right there, I think more people will do this and then probably create that opportunity for BZG apps market to grow with all their little nuanced features. Yeah.
Dumb question corner. I figured it out today, but it was probably 4 or 5 times in Discord. I had not seen the term before. Sherlock.
Oh, so, right. There was an app called Sherlock that let you search your Mac. And this is a decade and a half ago, maybe more. And then
Probably
Apple,
more because I've been here 16 years.
Yeah, so everybody used Sherlock because you needed
Was
something.
it Watson? No, Apple's thing was Watson.
Apple's thing was,
Yeah,
was
yes.
it? Okay. So
Okay.
the app was, no, it was called Watson. No, I forget. Honest. I thought, I don't even remember anymore. There was
It was
an
a long
app.
time ago.
I forget the name of it. Someone will write into feedback@macgeekgab.com and tell
Dumb
us.
question. Skip that.
No, it's not a dumb question. There was an app that everyone used to search their Macs, and everybody had it because you needed it. And then in macOS 8, thank you, Mark M, in our Discord at live.macgeekgab.com, Apple introduced the Sherlock functionality in macOS 8, which completely negated the need for this very popular third-party app, and so that's why we have adopted the term Sherlocking. So Apple made Sherlock, and it killed off the need for everyone to have the ubiquity of this other app. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Sherlock. My quick Google search. There was a different built-in search feature named Sherlock, named after the. Oh wait, never mind. That actually doesn't help at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what the app's name was, but the app was not Sherlock. It was I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, somebody will help us and get there at some point. But anyway, we will move on. So web apps, and then, and this goes to every device with the new software, we get to share iCloud keychain passwords and passkeys with a group of people, if you would like, which Sherlock's parts of 1Password, because that's one of the main reasons that people have used 1Password is because of that.
All right, because that one stumped me. I'm like, isn't that the point of a password that other people can't get?
No,
So
like
why
there's
would you wanna
passwords.
share it? But yeah, I get it.
There-
Because
there's
we have
passwords-
a family vault and a private vault.
Or a business vault,
Yes,
right?
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So-
You know,
Okay.
that it doesn't really Sherlock that feature in 1Password, because it's like so many of these things where Apple gives us a little bit. So if it's something you need, it's there. But if it's something that you need where you really need it, and it needs to be something beyond just this very basic thing,
Yeah.
then third-party apps step in. Like Keychain did not Sherlock 1Password, and the app that first got Sherlocked was called Watson.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah, from
Apple knew
Corellia
exactly.
Software.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Thank
Yeah.
you. I have one more feature in macOS that was not announced in the keynote. You know that wonderful thing that we do that we get to do when a 2-factor code is sent to us via SMS and it just autofills right there in Safari?
Sometimes.
Right.
Most times.
Most times. Yep. Now it will look for those same codes in Mail on all your devices.
Freaking
Not just on Mac, but iOS and iPadOS get this too. So yeah, I know it's pretty
That'll
good.
be handy.
Yep, it's good.
Be made obsoleted by passkeys.
Yeah, well, eventually.
Eventually.
Not everything, but
We hope.
but yes, we'll get there. And then the one last thing I believe that I have in the not announced during the keynote list for macOS Sonoma is that it adds, and I think, again, this is across all the platforms, visual lookup. And Apple's description is, find recipes for similar dishes just by using a photo. Look up information on an object that appears either in a picture or in a paused video frame. So you can pause a video and say, find me more things like whatever is on the screen. So however you choose to use that is up to you. And there is a sensitive content warning now that will block you from having to see images that are sent to you that on device your device decides has nudity and other sort of trigger warning things in them.
So sorry,
little
Pete,
creepy.
you're
Sorry.
going to have to let me know you're sending me those photos first.
Okay.
That's a little creepy.
Is it
but I
time to
will say
move on?
One other quick
Oh, go
thing:
ahead.
the widgets
Yeah.
that fade. You know, they're there, but they fade nicely into the background. They're
Yep.
less distracting. A lot of thought went into that. Really
I agree.
Impressed.
I love what they're doing with the widgets, and I love the idea of using them. And I know me, it is not a feature I'm going to take advantage of on my Mac.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of distraction potential there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they used to be a lot more prominent and interactive not so many OSs ago, back in Tiger and Lion. Were they not? And then they just kind of faded off into the...
Yeah, they went away and then they came back, and now they're trying to find a way to bring them
Make
back.
them
No,
more
you're absolutely
interactive
right.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so we all knew it was coming. Apple did wind up using the phrase "one more thing," which I don't believe we've seen since Steve
Since
passed
the
away.
Apple Watch.
It was the Apple Watch. Okay. I wonder. Yes, right.
so
The
Tim
Apple
has
Watch
used
got a
it
one more
twice now.
thing. Right. That's right. Okay. Thank you. As those words were coming out of my mouth, I was thinking, wait a minute. No, I was sitting there in the, in the room where that happened. Yeah. 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 With awful cell service or something. There was some server outage that day that we had at Mac Observer or something.
Oh, I vaguely
that
remember
everybody,
that. You were using some
everybody
kind of
has.
yeah.
There was some. Anyway, they used it when they announced the Vision Pro, the Apple Vision Pro, which is, as they call it, their spatial computing headset. Thoughts, Jeff?
This is some crazy fracking cool technology. Regardless of whether or not this is something you're interested in using personally, as they say, holy forking shirt balls. What they showed off, it
is eye-watering cool.
when Zuckerberg did the new Meta headset announcement a few days ago to get out in front of Apple's news, what he probably learned today, in retrospect, is that he should have just kept his mouth shut and not said anything about this cheapo headset that they're designing. And I say cheapo because the selling point on that product, it's not the features, it's the price point.
Right.
But with Apple's, it's the features, and I think they're doing an amazing job. If this does everything as well as they're claiming, this does an amazing job of getting beyond the I'm completely isolated when I put my headset on, so that you can have a sort of mixed reality environment, but you can control that level. And so I can completely immerse in a movie or a project I'm working on, but then dial it back literally so I can see to go and get a snack out of the fridge.
Right. What I likened it to when I was talking to my sister earlier tonight was it's like wearing ski goggles. I mean, my hope was that this was going to be something that would work with my glasses. Okay, we don't have that technology yet. I bet in 10 years, a pair of glasses will do it. Maybe 20. But I was like, oh man, I really hope that they don't have this big, heavy plastic solid thing. And the brilliance that they've put into this, the thought of, it's like looking at ski goggles. Now, obviously, it's projected onto the screen. It's not a clear lens, but they make it look like a translucent lens, that you're looking at somebody's face. You're looking at their eyes. So if someone winks, you can see one eye closed. and it's like a video of their face underneath there. It's so cool. I mean, it just the thought that went into it is.
Well, they also did something that I haven't seen any of these other VR headset makers do, which is genuinely address vision issues. Like
Yes.
I have never found a VR headset that I like or can wear than more than just a few minutes, because I have to wear glasses with them, which smashes my glasses into my face, which screws up the focal distance, and then it hurts. And if I take my glasses off, there's no way to get the image in focus, even though it's close to my face. And what Apple did was they designed it so that you have control over that distance between your pupils with the lenses, and you can put prescription lenses in these things.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
I found it very interesting that the word reality was either never used, or if it was used in passing. It was not in fact, I didn't hear the word reality come out of an Apple employee's mouth during the announcements today, until they started talking about Reality Kit during the State of the Union, right? The term they use, and I think that the reality distortion field has eroded enough that I'm confident saying what I'm about to say. I think spatial computing is the right term to use for what they showed us today. It's not the virtual reality gimmicky stuff. It's not even what we have, in my opinion, what we have seen as augmented reality. It's you are using your computer in this way, not you are interacting with your environment with this like extra thing on. This is your computer, or a computer, just like your phone is a computer that you have. Your Mac is a computer that you have. This, for the people that will have it, is another computer that we will have, that you interact with in its native way. But it's not the lens on your environment. It is another way of interacting. I think there's people who will have this that maybe would have a MacBook and an external monitor and won't buy the external monitor, but they also won't buy a 60-inch TV for their apartment, especially somebody who lives alone. Right. Like, yeah, it remains to be seen how this works with multiple people and like all of that. But
Well, they will for a while, as long as you can get a 60-inch TV for under $500.
well, yeah, there's that.
You're
Sure.
not going to buy a whole family $3,500 headsets.
No, but if you're in a studio apartment and it's just you,
Yes.
is there a world where this makes more sense? Or if you are someone who spends a great deal of your life on airplanes or whatever, think about it. You have, the smallest MacBook Air that you can get, or an iPad, and then this thing is your screen on an airplane, in a hotel room, wherever you are, and you're not space constrained. So I like this idea of spatial computing, with computing being the focus of what you are using this device for. Yes, sure. We use our computing devices for entertainment as well, and that's certainly part of this. But it's, I don't know, like that was the part of this that really obviously struck me.
Yeah, I'm with you. When they were going through the demo, or going through all the features and showing stuff off, they got to the point where they took us into that design studio and showed it being used there. And when they hit that was the point where I really felt like I found a solid, legit use case.
Yeah.
Because up until that, it was just this really fracking cool technology. But being able to have your business workspace where it takes up as much space as you need in your face, but not in your real world, and I was looking at it thinking the same thing you said, which is you have your laptop and you have this, but you don't have a big display.
Right.
And I was looking at my desk thinking, I've got this 34-inch wide curved display right here. If that went away, my whole desk really opens up, and I can sit here and work and have a much bigger screen than I do right now, especially when they showed the part where it's just through the screen from your laptop up in front of your face.
And then make it bigger.
And then make it bigger.
Yep. And think about, people who work in either cubicles or even open space environments where space is at a premium. You can be with other people. You can collaborate with other people. I think certainly this is not the first. This is not the last of these that we will see. I think, there will be other vendors who probably much less expensively create something that approximates bits and pieces of this, but maybe not the entire feature set of it. But that like, if you're going to outfit an office of 20 people and you're like, wait, I don't want to buy them monitors, but let's do this type of thing and get there. As long as it's like you said, the point is, or the key is, how smooth will it be? Mm-hmm. The price point at $34.99. My first thought, well, they said $34.99 and you can't get it until next year. Right. Okay, great. Can't even place a pre-order. My guess, like we saw with the original iPhone, there will be more features. It will get better. The battery life, they say, is 2 hours if you've got the little battery pack or whatever. It's definitely going to be 4 or 5 hours. They're going to say, oh, we figured out a way to make it more efficient. And it's going to be less than $34.99. That's my prediction. Obviously, I have no inside knowledge.
This prediction.
I also, and I can't take credit for this next bit, but I eventually will take credit for it, but not today. I saw somebody, I think it was on Mastodon, saying, they called this the Apple Vision Pro. Doesn't that mean that we will eventually have Apple Vision Air that does some subset of these features, right, for a lower price, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So
I was thinking the same thing.
Yep. And I think the other thing that's going to be cool about this, excuse me, the augmented reality, and not to be nitpicky, I know they used the term AR if they didn't use augmented reality. I remember them saying AR, but because they were talking about being able to hand things back and forth and working within your room and seeing people and interacting. But the thing that I see huge potential for is training, be it flight training, training surgeons, training mechanics, training anybody on anything where, it's expensive to go work on a jet engine or get a donated jet engine at your school. Now you don't need one.
Right.
That sort of thing. It's expensive to get, cadavers are probably expensive too, but it's expensive to have people come in and volunteer to be operated on in open heart surgery.
Yeah,
now
fair.
You don't need it.
Yeah, fair. And
I'm amazed at where this is going to go.
They showed it working with, or they said it would work with a keyboard and a mouse. For those use cases, they showed it being used with a traditional game controller. Mm-hmm. And then of course, hand gestures. One thing that was described in the State of the Union is that you can, I think it was either an AR kit or reality kit that allows you, developers, not us as users, but developers can create custom hand gestures to use in their apps. So there will be the sort of system-wide gestures that work all throughout Vision Pro. But if you have a specific thing that your app needs people to be able to do, you can create your own custom gestures for them to do with their hands in your app. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you catch the part in the State of the Union with people across the world as if they're...
Go ahead, Pete. You go first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I was just saying you're going to be able to have conversations with people across the world?
Yes.
Like they're sitting right in the room with you. Things like that.
So you said that in our Discord chat during the thing, and I had about a minute prior to that had a thought. The way you FaceTime with this, it obviously, well, maybe not obviously, it can't see your face. And Apple explained it sees enough of your face to get your like eye gestures and things like that. But it doesn't have a camera on your face that someone on a FaceTime call could see. So it builds, I forget what they call a digital persona of you. You scan your face with the thing and and that's all fine and good and great. And that allows you to have that meaningful conversation with somebody who's, on the other side of the world or something who's also wearing one of these. it also opens up the opportunity for you to have a meaningful conversation with someone who is no longer alive.
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
This was
AI,
a huge thing at CES, right?
Yeah.
People capturing, I think it was also called digital personas of themselves or relatives before they pass away, and they're including their voices and their mannerisms and all of that stuff.
And in a few thousand words, and
You
Right.
can make your own Tasha Yar.
You can make your own Tasha Yar.
there you go.
There you go.
I think that has real potential for evil, though.
Oh, I didn't say it. I shared the
Good or
idea.
evil. Good and evil. That's right. The idea is there. But
I
the
have
good
no-
and evil potential, Mom really wants you to sell her house now that look, she said so.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah.
Just saying. So,
Okay, yeah, we got to go. We got to move on here because
doesn't need to be the headset show.
iOS 17. So
Wait, they announced a new iOS today?
they did.
Sort of.
One of my favorite things that they mentioned during the iOS announcement, I'm sure we get it on all platforms again, is search filters in messages like we have in Mail. So that, although we were complaining on this morning's episode that Mail search filters
Just this
are
very day.
are very confusing to like actually get it to stick with criteria set number 1 and then move on to criteria set number 2. But being able to have those in messages is better than not having them in messages. And maybe, just maybe, by having them in messages, someone will decide at Apple will decide, hey, we need to make these work a little more intuitively. So maybe they get better. I don't know.
We can live in hope.
Like Craig Federighi says, we truly live in a world of wonder with those multiple timers, and maybe we can add more intuitive mail and message filters too. I don't know.
The fact that they took the time in the keynote to point out multiple timers.
I feel like somebody listens to this show.
Yeah, there were so many things that they could have highlighted and then just put this on the slide
Yep.
and not mentioned, and it would have been totally fine.
I don't know. It's ridiculous that the only place you get multiple timers right now is with Apple Watch, because you can do multiple timers there. You can't do them on any of others with Apple's native apps on any other platform.
You can do it with the S Lady on HomePod.
Right.
There you
Dang
go.
it. I knew it. Yep.
This is why you brought me on, so I can
Yeah.
remind you.
I don't have HomePod. I have such a Sonos house.
Wrong again, Dave. You
It's okay, Dave, because I'm finding HomePod to be incredibly frustrating.
Oh, good. I
know
don't need
why.
that in my
Ooh,
life.
Pick me. I know why.
Go,
It's
Pilot
the
Pete.
S lady. They better catch her. They didn't talk much. They didn't talk any improvement to her, and they better figure that out fast.
I had after we got through everything, but I'll put it in now. I had a question to ask all of us. Well, and it came from, I believe it was Mark M in our
Discord chat.
Discord. Thank you. At macgeekgab.com/Discord. He asked, where was AI today? There was no mention of AI in terms of AI. Certainly there are things Apple does that use machine learning, neural networks, the building blocks of AI. We could call different pieces of it AI, but there was no, in the Developer State of the Union, they started by talking about Swift macros, which sort of like write some code for you in your projects. So there was this, like it was sort of there, but they never said it's like, it's like GitHub Copilot. It writes your code for you like AI. There was no mention of AI. And I can understand why Apple would choose to stay out of saying anything using the term AI. And I also think it's a huge mistake because Siri sucks compared to the other assistants. And unless,
not in a good way.
And it's gonna that delta is gonna get, that gap is gonna get wider if they don't get on the AI bandwagon with Siri. I mean, it's already using some version of AI. Like there's some, like obviously, but it's not a good one.
Considering 10 years ago,
right?
She's amazing. Just amazing.
But compared to Google Assistant or the Amazon A lady, no.
Just not even in the same ballpark.
No.
It's very frustrating because we all grew up with Captain Kirk and Captain Picard talking to the computer, and it just works.
Yes.
So we have an expectation, and what I think Apple is doing is taking a very different approach to AI than, say, what
we
these
want,
companies are doing. Yeah,
what we expect.
Google and Amazon
from what
are
we
doing.
expect. Yes, and then that's currently being compounded by the fact that that OpenAI and other companies in that same space are rolling out large language models and telling us it's AI.
Right.
And it's creating this expectation that's completely wrong, and people are expecting that Apple should have an LLM running on the HomePod, and when you say something, then it responds back like a human, and they're conflating this whole artificial intelligence with large language model. And it's creating this hot mess of confusion. And I don't think Apple wants to go down that path anyhow, but they need to do something to make it clear to the average person what it is that they are doing. I mean, I look at all these devices in front of me that have Apple logos on them, and it's obvious to me that I'm seeing AI and ML stuff happening all the time. But it's not that in-your-face Star Trek computer stuff.
No, but we will. Here's the thing. You're right that saying that AI is only things that are using LLMs, large language models, like ChatGPT, is a misnomer. Okay? Mm-hmm. So for the purposes of this conversation here, let's use the umbrella definition of AI that includes all of this stuff, including the large language models. The fact that Apple is doing nothing with a large language model, aka that thing that the general public currently calls AI, is a huge mistake. I really think it is. Because we already have text-based LLMs that are answering like humans. Mm-hmm. We are much closer to having voice-based assistants that are using LLMs that will be answering like humans. I guarantee you we will see Google Assistant and Amazon A Lady doing this. I'm surprised Google Assistant isn't doing it yet, right? Because we're like, they have Bard, like it's all right there. We just like, we are, if we're 6 months away, that's probably double the amount of time that it'll actually take for us to have this in our homes, right? Because the tech is all there. We just need somebody to glue it together, and they already have. They just need to roll it out.
Yep.
By not having that on HomePod and iPhone and Apple Watch, Apple is going to fall so far behind in terms of, I mean, they're already behind. That's what I mean about this gap widening. I
talked earlier about the integration of all the various devices, the Mac, the iPad, the phone, the watch, that sort of thing. If there's one thing that's going to draw people out of the Apple walled garden,
that's it. You're not wrong, but you don't have to leave. Well, I guess you do have to leave the Apple walled garden. You don't have to leave all your Apple devices behind.
That's true. Fair enough. Yeah.
But maybe give it a year. If my iPhone can't do, if I want Jane, right? Like an Apple Jane from Ender's Game, right? Yeah. From the Ender universe. Jane was the assistant that everyone had. Mm-hmm. Jane would theoretically maintain your privacy by not telling other people what it knew about you, right? So, but it was a voice assistant that was aware of everything you did and everyone you encountered, and then would, process things and be your always on assistant. We are getting closer and closer to having that as a reality. I want Apple to be the ones that create Jane for me because I trust them with my privacy and my data more than any other company out there. And I mean, it's ridiculous I even need to say that. Like,
And
it
if
should
there's
be
any
obvious.
company on the planet that has the resources to do it, Apple is it. Get off the dime and do it, Apple.
Yep.
How is it that we've made it this far into voice assistant, AI, ML, and we still cannot give the S lady a compound or complex statement?
Right.
Hey, yes, lady, I'm home. Turn on the living room lights. Set the TV for the new Ted Lasso show, and
There's
let
no
my
more Ted
friends-
Lassos. There's no more Ted Lassos, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. Just
Okay.
don't ruin this fantasy for me, Dave.
Okay. Well, I like your fantasy. Keep going. Yes.
Send a message to Dave that I can chat when he's ready, and and
And whatever else.
the
And get
door.
my slippers, darn it.
right, and just do all of these things. Figure it all out from what I just said, and it just
Because
does it.
ChatGPT can respond to those in order, item by item by item, right now.
Right, and right now, if I
Nestle
I
can't.
went to do something like turn on the living room lights, turn off the hall lights, and set my office light color to blue,
That's a 5-minute process to do it with.
assuming it works at all.
Well, that's what I mean. And
Yeah.
but 2 of those 5 minutes is going and fixing yourself a drink because of how frustrated you now are.
Right.
Right? So, yeah.
And her
Right.
responding, the Google app you need to do that is not installed.
Pete gets that from Siri all the time. The Google
kidding
app.
me?
Lab you need?
You know what's cool? I actually did this a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, S lady, turn off the living room lamp. Off it went. And I walked out of the room and I went, oh, I forgot something. Hey, S lady, turn the living room lamp on. The Google app you need to turn it on is not installed. I went, hey, S lady, the living room lamp that you just turned off, turn it back on. And it worked.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You keep hitting that microphone today. I'm going to have to come over there, Pete.
There you go. Right. So
Don't make me
I'm
come
like,
over
you
there.
gotta be kidding me. How on earth did that work? It shouldn't have worked, but I was so frustrated. I just went, look, you
All right.
just turned it off. Turn it back on.
Turn it back on. Yeah, exactly. If I was
She's
like,
like,
oh,
"Oh,
crap.
yes, sir."
Yes, sir. All right, so back to the reactions from the keynote. What I'm going to do for this last little segment is we're just going to combine everything that we haven't talked about yet, which is the rest of iOS 17, because we got one item into that. And maybe there was only one item left to talk about with that. But we got one item in before we took the AI path, which we were going to take anyway. And then we have iPadOS 17, watchOS 10. Super happy that Apple merged all of the version numbers into just year, because we should have iOS 2023, iPadOS 2023, watchOS 2023. We don't have that. One of the things, and we talked about multiple timers, that I like for iOS 17 is the standby mode, where you put your iPhone on a MagSafe charger and you turn it into landscape mode, and it changes and it becomes a different thing.
Various widgets. It's a clock. It's a calendar. It's
At first, like in the first 5 seconds of them showing that, I thought, oh, this is stupid. I already have what I need by my bed. I don't need this. It's just an alarm clock, like whatever. I don't want it on all night anyway. And then by the 17-second mark, I had done a complete 180, and I'm like, I will use this every day at my desk. This is amazing. I want this right now. How quickly can I install the beta? So
I'm with you. That was one of those features that, well, actually, I was hooked like right away, because my iPhone is my nightstand clock anyhow.
Yep.
So now it'll be upright instead of laying flat. And at my desk, the charger stand that I have for my iPhone, it has a sensor in it, so it actually moves the coil up or down depending on what position my phone is in. So I'll just set my phone in landscape mode in the charger. There we go.
boom. Bob's your uncle. Yeah, it's
Yep.
friggin' amazing.
Actually, he is. Yeah. But yes.
That's fascinating. Yep. How have I known you this long and that phrase has never come up in an opportunity for you to actually respond that way? I love it.
Right.
So there's that. The the sharing by tapping, or not tapping, but the sharing by AirDrop, by putting our phones close to each other with either our contact cards and all of that stuff.
15 years ago, there was an app called Bump, and all you had to
I
do
remember.
was bump your phones
I remember
together.
bumping back in
Yep.
the day.
So we get to Bump again. Bump got Sherlocked, but they went under long before they could claim
did.
that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably stick with my dot card.
There you go. Oh, nice. Yeah,
one of
that's
those
a
up
good
a while
reference. Yeah. Yeah.
Another one that's about to get Sherlocked, I think, is PDF Expert.
I
Take a shot of
again,
your PDF, it recognizes fields.
no.
It's going to let you put signatures in. You don't think so? Okay.
Nope. No,
Maybe not.
But for people that don't need the features that come in PDF Expert,
Okay.
this
Fair
gives
enough.
them what they need.
it's a full featured, and obviously iOS doesn't have that, but they're working in that direction.
Yeah, well,
They'll never
it'd be
get
like
there.
saying Keychain is slowly Sherlocking one password. No, it is not. But over time, it will be a viable opportunity or option for a wider range of people.
Yep. I think your comments earlier about the BZ the web apps and BZG apps Unite and Coherence, it's the same here with PDF Expert. There's a few things that this does that people probably weren't going to spend, over $100 to get anyway, but this opens that door. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fair enough.
I agree. Yep. How about this? Finally, in 2021, Apple Insider, I believe, was the first to report that our Siri remotes for the Apple TV had Find My capability in them, but we had no way of using it or activating it. And iOS 17 finally brings that home. We can use our phones to find the lost remote. Why? That may be the one that I should have led the show with instead of the multiple timers, but we've talked so much about the multiple timers here that it was obvious. But yeah, fascinating. The sleeper feature. We've got these things in our home. Hopefully, Apple hasn't been using them to figure out where our remotes are already.
Well, if they were, I wish my HomePod would tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Just let me know. You can know. Please just let me know. But yeah.
I actually went on my way and went on Amazon and bought a little rubber case that fits around my Apple TV remote and has an AirTag.
Well, you can get rid of that AirTag in September or October.
Well,
whenever
use
we
that AirTag for something else.
Exactly right. Yeah, you can repurpose
Now
it.
you have to figure out something else you might lose.
What they haven't done yet, and I'm shocked, they haven't given us a flat credit card sized AirTag yet.
No, but there is.
There is one. There is an off.
Yeah, it's the Rolling Square people have one.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in the show notes here. We will talk about it in 986. I almost talked about it in 984 this morning, but we ran out of time. But yeah, there is one from Rolling Square.
I'm just shocked that Apple hasn't done it yet. I know they know there's a need for it.
Speaking of Find My, you can now share your Find My, your AirTags. You can create a group of them that you can share with, I think, up to like 5 other people. Let's say share AirTag or Find My network accessories with up to 5 other people. Everyone in the group can see the item on a map and play a sound to pinpoint the location of a shared accessory when nearby. So, yeah.
The first time I lose something at a conference that has an AirTag with it, all of my friends, I'm sharing this with them so they can all be looking right now.
That's a great idea. Right. Well, at least 5. You probably have more than 5 friends at a conference.
The 5 that are physically closest to
That's
me in
it.
that moment.
Yes, your proximity, it makes you puts you higher on the list of my friends. That's
Yes.
it. Or Jeff's
Proximity-based friendship.
Proximity-based friendship. You crystallize my thoughts,
I
Jeff.
have geofences for my friends.
There you go.
Hey,
they're coming
we're
in.
having fun here, and that's a good thing. The mental health tracking that Apple has put into iOS 17 and the other, operating systems as well, checking in with you and then using your other data points like your sleep and your,
just your mood. Hey, what are you
but
feeling and
asking
why?
you about your mood, but then also relating that to, hey, when you say you're sad, 80% of the time, you didn't get enough sleep or you didn't exercise the day before, right? Like, and of course, keeping all of
Or
this
you
on
didn't have
device,
enough to drink. Oh, sorry.
right? Well, or maybe you had too much to drink. I don't know why there isn't yet a thing in Apple Health. Like you can log your food, you can log all this stuff. I guess there would be it would be a third party app, and they probably do exist. But to log your alcoholic beverages or whatever substances you use, I think it would be a good thing to just because
a good thing.
knowing is
And as long
like
as and again, who do you trust with the privacy for that, right?
bingo, right? Yeah, exactly. But
There's not a lot of big companies, and I'm very distrustful of even Apple. But that being said,
if it's on device, it's on device. Yeah.
I think of all the big companies that I don't trust, Apple is the least of them. I trust the most, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And I had mentioned it in the Discord at some point that that's going to be, I think, helpful to people that are in my situation, which is a professional pilot. Gee, you think there's any pilots out there that are taking antidepressants which are verboten? They're out there, but they're hiding it. And as long as it's forbidden, they're going to hide it. Wouldn't you rather know about it and have somebody working positively on fixing their issues?
Yep.
But
yes.
hey, that's
my
just
answer
one
is
guy
yes.
asking a question. I don't know.
No, and as a guy that sits in the back of the plane who isn't allowed to go up front and fly, I would prefer that the person who's flying up front, if they do need antidepressants or whatever to help regulate their mental health, well, like it would be good that everybody's. Yeah, I'm with you.
I will say this: I won't completely burn them down to the ground. They're out of the Stone Age and into the Dark Ages. At least there are some antidepressants now which are,
acceptable.
And they've moved forward on that. And they had an amnesty program for a while. I don't know where that stands, but
sure.
But it isn't flying. It isn't the only one. There's people operating trains and trucks and buses, and there's people operating heavy equipment, and there's other. And I'm sure there's other professions. I don't know what they are, but they're safety related. And oh my gosh, you don't want people hiding those issues. You want them positively working on a good outcome.
Yeah, this comes down to the whole stigma. I see a therapist. It's like I have no qualms about it. In fact, I ran into my therapist at like a community event the other day, and he came and said hi. I introduced him to my family who he had not yet met. And then the next time I saw him, he was like, I hope that was okay. I hope I wasn't like breaching your trust. I'm like, no.
I would have introduced you.
It's totally fine. Like, I'm okay with, like, this is it's okay. Like, I have a doctor, a medical doctor. I have a head doctor. Like, it's all fine. It's all good.
Well, at least
you
when
have
you met
all
Lisa,
these
you didn't go,
doctors.
oh, so you're...
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember who I had this
kidding,
conversation with. And Dave, I think it might have been you years ago where we were talking about mental health and therapy. And I made a comment about I see therapy the same as I see car maintenance. Doesn't matter how well your car's running. Every now and then you take it in for a tune-up and an oil change.
Yep.
It's the same for your brain.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. All right. So we have a few minutes left. Actually, we don't, but we're going to do it anyway.
Right on.
We'll do a little bit of a quick run through anything that was not announced in the keynote that we have not yet talked about. I have a list, so I don't want to Sherlock any of your lists, and I don't know what's on your list. So, Jeff, do you have anything that is on your mind that we haven't talked about that wasn't announced in the keynote?
We've done a really good job of hitting the stuff that was coming up for me, and you even hit the thing in the developer state of the developers thing that I was going to bring up, which was the whole macros thing, and Apple making it easier to have Swift help you write code. But to go along with that, the overarching theme for the state of developers for me was Apple listening and understanding that they need to take steps to make it easier and less opaque for developers to do the things they do.
And to that point, They mentioned this in the keynote, but the whole game mode thing that they talked about in the keynote, they dug deeper into that in the State of the Union.
Mm-hmm.
That is all about porting games from Windows. In fact, Windows and gaming consoles. In fact, they said in the State of the Union, which was a little bit more keynote-like than like nerdy State of the Union, they said, if you're a developer who builds games for Windows or gaming consoles, this is for you. It's to show you how easy it is to port your stuff over. Yes, fascinating.
That's almost verbatim what they said. I mean, they
it is verbatim.
Said, this is for you.
This is for you. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pete, do you have anything that you found that they didn't mention in the keynote before I go through my lightning round?
I didn't. I confess now that wasn't. I didn't know that was my assignment.
It wasn't an assignment.
I know.
These are the nerdy things. It's totally fine. I just didn't want to Sherlock you.
It occurred to me to go look for things that they did put in there that they didn't talk about today. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should have done that. That would have been. I bet I found some really cool stuff there.
So I did find some cool stuff.
Okay.
Apple TV gets third-party VPN support. They say this can benefit.
That.
Yes, this can benefit enterprise and education users wanting to access content on their private networks, allowing Apple TV to be a great office and conference room solution. Sure. Also, it lets you right. So lets you watch Netflix from another country. So I like that. That's good. You can now use any USB camera with your iPad. That's new and interesting. You can link related notes to each other. So if you have a group of notes for like a trip that you're taking, you can link them to each other. And so that's there.
Yeah, almost like journaling was kind of cool. They talked about that.
Yes, right. Yeah, the journaling thing.
Listening to, I joked on the Discord. No, what? No smell-o-vision? No smells. They didn't get that.
Right.
Because you have the audio, the visual, and that was kind of cool.
Yep. Also with Notes, you can start something in Notes and migrate it to Pages seamlessly. So if things get a little more than Notes, I like that. In Mail, this is interesting. They say you can see travel-related emails at the top of your search results as your trip dates approach. So that's interesting. If you start searching for maybe flights or something, it's going to bring the ones for your next trip up, even if that's not the most recent thing from, I don't know. Like, I'll have to see this to get it.
Yeah. My assumption is that your search results are being intercepted locally.
Right.
And then your computer or your Mac is re-ranking Google search results for you.
No, not search results. Your mail. This is happening. Your mail search results.
What they were doing.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Your mail search results. Right. Yep.
Fix that.
On iOS 17, a couple of these for iOS 17. Apps can now ask for add-only permissions for your calendar. So if you have an app that you want to let add to your calendar, but it never is going to need to see the contents of your calendar, that's a new permission that can be granted, which I like.
I like that.
Yeah.
In Maps for iOS 17, you can now download maps for offline access, which is great. We don't need to.
iPad can do that too.
Okay, right. Perfect. Thank you. And the Maps app also allows you to pick your preferred EV, electric vehicle charging network, and then it will show you that network on your maps. So you can stay right in Apple Maps. Grocery lists in Reminders automatically sort items into categories to make shopping easier, and you can change how items are grouped, and the list remembers your preferences.
This may actually get me to use, in limited situations, the Reminders app.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
And then there are now zoom and pan controls when using continuity camera with Studio Display or your iPhone. So this was sort of a thing that could happen automatically, but you didn't get any controls over it. now you can actually control it kind of like webcam settings or camo. So a few more features for all of that. So I think, and speaking of camera apps, third-party camera apps get access now to volume shutter buttons, zero shutter lag, overlapping captures, aka pictures, and deferred processing. So all the things that Apple's camera app was the only app that could do, now third-party apps can do that too.
Good.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's what we have, folks.
I got two quick things.
Amazing. Keep going. Yeah.
The phone app.
Yep.
You can essentially screen it, call screening. You got a number that comes up. They're not in your contacts. They're starting to leave a message. You are, I do want to talk. That's the dentist office. Or,
yes.
They're using a different number. That's crew scheduling. No, I don't want to talk to them. I do want to talk to them.
Just not right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The call screening with voicemail is great.
Transcribing what they're saying.
The transcription is the key. Yeah. I like it.
You don't have to, anyway. So that one was huge.
What was the other one?
The other one was the ability to, essentially it's another continuity feature. You start transferring a file via Bluetooth and it's too big. I got to go. I got a bus to catch.
Yeah.
I got to go. And it continues after. So if you start transferring a large file, it continues to transfer over the internet once you're.
So this isn't continuity, that's AirDrop.
It was AirDrop to start. But once you leave Bluetooth range, they called it. I think
you keep saying
continuity.
Bluetooth. AirDrop doesn't use Bluetooth for transfers. It uses Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It uses Bluetooth to find
to shake
other
hands.
devices.
Okay.
Right, exactly. Okay. And then it's Wi-Fi. But yes, it continues over the internet.
Okay, because they said once you're out of Bluetooth range,
that's
that
fair.
Makes sense, the handshake dies. So
that's fair.
That's why I used it. But yeah,
no, you're right.
The fact that it continues on after you leave was a huge. Find, I think.
I agree.
So
yeah.
So
all right. Do we have anything else? I think that I know my answer. Okay. Well, here we are. Now I get to go and eat food or something. So
what is this 4-letter word starting with F that you're speaking of?
Yeah.
I'll draw you a picture.
Oh man. Okay, we're turning off the video now. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Jeff, thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Where can people find you these days, Jeff?
Well, Dave and Pete, thanks for including me. This has been so much fun. Okay, how about some socials? I'm
Sure.
Jay Gamet consistently, but I'm active on Mastodon and Instagram right now.
All right. I will make sure to have links in the show notes for both of those. Yep.
Then how about some shows? Chuck Joyner has me on Mac Voices Live on Tuesdays. Dave Ginsburg has me on In Touch with iOS on Thursdays. Then I am the apparently permanent interim host of The Big Show and The Mac Show on British Tech Network. And, and then a mutual friend of ours, Brand Chaffin. I do The Context Machine with him.
Amazing. Thank you.
Quite the man about internet.
So now I have 18 links to put in the show notes. Thanks for that, Jeff.
Sure thing.
Yeah, no, really, thanks for coming. This was a perfect little get-together for today.
And seriously, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Absolutely. Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. And mostly, folks, not mostly, but also thanks to all of you. No, that is mostly. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks for all your support, especially for sending in your questions and comments and all that to feedback@macgeekgab.com. We'll be back next week with the next regular episode. Jeff.
Yes.
Can you tell me, I would like 3 words of advice for you. And if you are needing inspiration, I would ask you to look at the video and maybe read Pete's shirt.
Oh, I don't need any extra inspiration because these are words to live by. An excellent life choice. Dave, Pete, don't get caught.
Made on a Mac.
It's good advice.
Oh, yeah.
Later. All right. And we're out.